So today we have myself, Holly Anderson, Andrew McHugh, and Ann Bishop are here. And we're going to continue with the training from Tuesday where we filed a new case, and now we're going to be filing into existing cases. And as we had before, any questions, if you could send them to us through the online chat, through the GoToMeeting, that would be great. We will address them as we can throughout the presentation. And we're going to start off today on your login screen. Once you're logged in, what we've done today is the login screen will show if you are through an agency account administrator who has set up people to have their individual accounts. Your screen will look across the top. You will have my organization as well as my cases. So if you go into my cases, we just wanted to show you all what your screens will look like once they're populated with cases that you have initiated. Across here you'll see my organization cases, which will have a list of everything that has been initiated by your organization. So that will include more cases than when you go into your existing cases. These will be cases that you have initiated that will exist both here and under your organization. And you can access them through either one. The plus of this is that the organization cases, anyone in your organization can then use this list to select an action in that matter.
Such as, if you click on that, you can use this just to view the case up there. So if you just wanted to view the case, this option will take you directly to the case. So this is the benefit of having an agency account, is that account under an administrator, is that you would have my cases, and it's not just what you're initiating, it's also what is for the entire organization.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is use a few of these cases that we've already put into our organization. But we're actually going to start off on a public comment. And what we're going to file it into an existing case. So we know what case it is we'd like to enter it into, which is 17-0063. So we're searching for the case. And once it pops up, you can go we'll open the matter. And make sure you're in the right case, which we are. And then you can go up to select action. And from here again, it explains everything that can be done in a case. And it does clearly note to the right if you're a party in the case, the actions you can take and the things you can do not being a party, which is add a public comment. And if you click this, you'll be adding the public comment directly into this case.
So for the purposes of this public comment, we're going to be thinking of this as a town filing a public comment. So you see that there's an option for are you filing as an individual. So if the answer is no, you select no, and then you'll be asked to put in your organization name. In this case, we'll pick the town of Hinesburg.
And there's a couple different ways you can pick them. There we are. And it will populate in all the information already in there. In contact person again, you can search see if that person's already in a few different ways.
We'll just pick a person
We're
here.
just picking for today. Once those are populated, continue down and answer the questions as requested.
And then there's this question here about, are you filing on behalf of the town where the proposed project would be located, or on behalf of a state or agency or a regional commission to receive notice? And in this case, Heinsberg town offices. So I'm going to go back and change this to show you how to add a person into the database. And Heinsberg town offices here, because it doesn't allow you to link with an organization, so you have to type it in there. I don't know Heinsberg zip code, so I'll just put in another zip code. So it's important to remember that the database for accounts in ePSC is different than the database for people in ePSC. So that is why we have to enter the person in, and because it's a separate database. So if I go back,
So that just added the person, and now you continue and choose them from the list.
now I'm adding
You can either put your comment in the comment box if it's short enough, or you can attach a document with the comment as well. There's two different ways.
And then there's this information box here that says notice the future filings in this case. If you would like to receive email messages notifying you when the board issues documents or when parties make filings in this case, make sure that you are logged into ePSC and select subscribe to a case from the select action drop-down menu. And this, because we're, in this case, a public commenter who doesn't necessarily isn't logged in at the time, they need to make sure that they log in and do that. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, there appears to be a kink in the system here because I have the document uploaded. Wait, oh, I still have to.
Oh, I didn't. Yes, I did.
Okay, that has been submitted now. So that was the first thing that we wanted to cover was filing a public comment in the existing case. The next thing we're going to cover is filing a motion to intervene in an existing case.
And these would traditionally be cases that you wouldn't have showing on your dashboard because they're not cases that you initiated. So you'd always have to search for the case number.
And by initiate, we mean that you were the one to file it. So it would be the petitioner would be the initiator, or in the case of a consumer complaint, the consumer would be the initiator. This option for public comments over here is to file a general public comment. So that person would be the one initiating the case. Whereas if you go to the selection case here, we're going to go back to 63. And again, we did add public comment here because we were filing a comment in a specific case. Okay, so now we will add a motion to intervene because we want to become a party to the case.
In this instance, we are going to be adding it for an adjoining landowner. So that would not be on an organization.
So we, in this instance, are a representative of a law firm representing the individual. So we'll walk that through. Will you be filing per hoc vice motion? So, no. This is just a brief description. You can see there are only 100 characters here. For the party name, we're going to add a person. Unless John Smith is already in there, we'll see. There are certain fields that are required. Okay, so now I'm going to go back here and select the party name. John Smith. Are you a self represented individual? If you answer no, you'll be requested to provide information for the attorney representing you. In this case,
We existed in the system, so they were.
there's a lookup. It gave me an error here. Cannot upload multiple documents with the same name, file name for this petition.
Document one on both.
Well, actually, this only needs to be filled out if you're filing a motion in conjunction with the motion to intervene. So I'm actually going to delete this here. And that will now allow me to proceed. Okay.
That's a good example to show you that if you have made any kind of error like that, that the system won't let you file things duplicative or in error. It will have you look over your filing before you can actually file it with us.
Now you'll notice that my cases 63 has not been added here because only the cases that you or your organization initiates shows here. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to the case. And I'll just quickly go over that again. And then when you subscribe to the case, you'll get the emails for all the filings.
Filed by any party or the board.
So up here you just go subscribe to this case. And then you add the email address. And in this case, it's Holly, so she's the okay. Yeah, let's do some questions.
And we'll start right off at the top here. The first one is, how soon will we be able to file new documents in legacy cases? Someone has a filing due next week. Unfortunately, legacy cases are cases that had began with the board before the institution of ePSC. And to that end, only 25 cases have been chosen that will be actually going through ePSC for filings and everything else in the case to the end. Anything that had not been, and memos were sent to the parties in all of those cases. If you had not received one, your matter will be in just as a legacy for board orders, anything issued by the board. You will be able to find them through the ePSC system. Anything you're filing still has to be done in paper in the traditional way to the end of the case. Starting the 17th, anything of those 25 cases can be filed through the system. The next question goes along with the idea of the questions about initiating. And again, when initiating a case just means that it is a case that you have filed with the board that is begun through ePSC. And the question here is that agencies like, well, A&R won't be initiating cases for the most part, and they wanted to know where they will show up on their dashboard. And unfortunately, they will not show up in your existing cases if it's not a case that you have started with us. You just go in as you would and search for a case using one of the searches or by the case number if you already know that one. and then you can file and do all of the other things the system can do.
Okay, we have a question that says, on my screen I don't see the option to check that I'm filing on behalf of a regional planning commission or that I would like to receive notice of future filings. If you're filing on behalf of a regional planning commission, you would select other from the organization group, and that would be your way of entering in your organization. Okay, this questioner says that she figured it out, so we will move along. I think I might have, let's see, does the petitioner get notice of who has signed up for notice of future filings? And that would be the subscribers, and the answer to that is no. The petitioner does not get notice of the subscribers. There's another question about subscribing, and it says, how do I subscribe to case EEU 2016-03? We are still in the process of entering cases that will be processed in ePSB. Those are the 25 cases that Holly just mentioned, referred to. Right now, EEU 2016-03 currently appears as a legacy case, and that will be corrected. Once it's corrected, you will see the tab for subscribing and making additional filings. And I just want to remind everyone that we're in a development site right now, so that it has a bunch of fake data in it, and so we're not actually looking to show you where the cases are. So.
This goes along with the question about legacy cases and what can be filed, what cases will be online initially. We will be posting a list on our Public Service Board website of the 25 cases that are continuing in ePSB, so people will have an idea of which ones are those. And then again, anything that you file new on the 17th will go through the ePSB system.
Okay, we have a question that says, will there be a guidebook for today's and Tuesday's training sessions? Screenshots would be helpful. We'll have recordings of these training sessions posted on the board's website. Other short training videos are in the process of being developed. We'll have a written guide with icons posted on the board's website, and other written materials are being developed. But as of yet, we do not have them developed. And to that, I would also like to encourage folks, if there are specific areas that they are interested in seeing a video or training, then it would be great to send that to the system administrator email address, which is located okay, well, we're going to find exactly where to point you to find the system administrator website in an email address. That email address is also in the memo that announced these trainings, and it is it's psb.epsbsystemadmin@vermont.gov. So we have a few more questions. We will also add the email address to the ePSB help page, and also onto this welcome screen as well to make it easy for folks. Okay, we have another question.
This goes along with what you were just talking about with recordings of training sessions and things, and we're going to try to get them up, available to view as soon as possible. We're working on that one. And this person wants to know, is there a way to get a list of cases that you have subscribed to? Unfortunately, these do not at this time show up on your dashboard in any capacity. So at this point, you just gotta.
You would just know based on if you receive
the emails. And then if you end up getting emails that you no longer want to be subscribed to that case, you can again send an email to the admin and we can get you unsubscribed to that matter.
Okay, we have one more question and then we'll get back into the training. But feel free to keep sending your questions. We'll just queue them up. And the question is, when will the 25 existing cases that will use ePSB for filing be posted on the board's website? So I think that question might just be, will there be just a list of the 25 cases? So,
yes, someone had asked that.
Okay, so, and we're going to put that on the website by the end of this week tomorrow. Reference that.
A list of things to do. You will get there. Right.
Okay.
Back to filing and existing cases. Our next one we're going to do is we're going to start doing a few things that you would do with a case that you have initiated or filed in the beginning, from the beginning, which we have a case that, and then again that will show up on your dashboard.
So here we're going to be adding a witness to the petition
0068.
So one of the options here is add witness. And it brings you right to the screen.
Most times, unless it's a witness that has been used previously, you're going to have to go in and add the person.
Now that I've entered that person, he shows up here. Gives you the options you need to update your profile. Because if you did have a person that was already in the system that you were adding, then that person may have moved organizations or works for a different entity now, and so that would give the option to update that. We're filing on behalf of the petitioner. Green Mountain. So now that witness is added to the case, and
then you can go in and actually add their pre-filed testimony. Again, for case parties only.
This will be a new filing. It's not replacing any previous filing. We'll select direct pre-file testimony because it's a new witness. We're also going to add an exhibit. Adding an exhibit, you would attach the document. There's a predetermined list here. Of what is generally things that are provided to the board, but there's always the other option. The other option, it's very important to title it something that is indicative of what it is. Okay, you'll see that there's an option here for witnesses sponsoring exhibit and pre-file testimony. And there should be a list here that would include Daniel Maher, who we just added. There seems to be a kink in the system, so we'll Okay, I'm actually in the wrong case.
Again, we're showing you the importance of checking the case information at the top.
So you'll see 67 up here, and I was meant to be in 68. And so here it is a good reminder of the fact that I'm not in the right case. So I'm going to go back to the correct case. It gives you this option to stay on the page to make sure that you really want to leave. And I really want to leave because I'm in the wrong case. So here we are. Here we go. I'm going to have to add pre-file testimony. New filing. Direct pre-file testimony. I'm going to attach a document. And we'll see, down here, we have Daniel Maher. I will attach an exhibit. There we go, documents on there. Exhibit number is petitioner CN-1. Selecting other. Select the witness. And this is a party who I'm filing on behalf of. Green Mountain Power, petitioner. Green Mountain Power is also listed under utility, because in some cases you would have a petitioner who was not the utility that the project was being built in.
Go back up to the top, and I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to the fact is that right here, to use this to use a revised version of pre-file testimony that you've already, like we just did the new filing. There's a revised version of this person's testimony. This is where you would also use it, so make sure that you are clear.
Okay, and we'll show you how that works. Okay, so if we go back to
68.
Should we view the case first so that we can show people what the...
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
What the screen will look like now.
So there's some options here. We'll just go over this real quick. People tab here. And we should... and schedule. And then under pre-filed testimony and exhibit, you see what we just filed. Daniel Maher's filing. Now we'll go back to add pre-filed testimony, exhibit, or affidavit.
We already need to revise it.
Because we're going to revise it. So we'll select revised version here. And it gives you the option of what you're revising. So I'm going to revise the exhibit.
You have to select it exactly the same so it shows what you are revising exactly.
That's the exhibit and replace each of the other. And then public. So as a reminder to folks, we're not using the confidential feature of ePUC at this time. The system is will allow you to enter the confidential information, but we are not accepting that at this time. And selecting petitioner. Okay, so if we go back to view the case and look under pre-filed testimony and exhibit. Oh, I'm in the wrong case again. 67 instead of 68.
You really want to see that case.
I don't know why I keep clicking on that.
Now you see revised version. So it really lays out exactly what has been filed.
Okay, we're going to move on to discovery now. Or
you could answer a couple of questions that came in that kind of go along with some of the things that we're doing. Or about case name. And I believe it's back when you list my cases.
Okay, I'll go back there.
Oh, and there. All right, we wanted to get to the screen that this is referring to. Okay, the question was that will a case name appear here where the case information is? And a case name will appear here if a caption has been made for the case. And captions will be entered by the clerk's office once the filing has come in and it goes through the review process through the system. Captions will be added there. And once a caption is in, it will all show under your case information. Those lines and other test cases have been given case names. Same thing, the clerk will give them. And again, this is our development and testing, so not exactly the same as what you will see. And another question was, will a docket number be assigned? Well, everything now is officially called a case number, but that is assigned automatically once you make the first filing is initiated and sent in to file the case with the board, and a number is assigned to that case. As soon as it comes in and the individual that has filed that case will get an email back with the case number on it. So all future filings can be tied back to that case. And if I'm counsel and filed a notice of appearance for a party, in many cases, but the organization was not the filer of any of them, does that mean they will not show up under My Cases tab? I think I'm following what that one is. If you, under My Cases are only anything that your login has filed or initiated, we want to say, it began through the system. That's what you'll show on right there. My existing cases will only be the cases that have been started in Epsp through that initial filing. So anything that you, if it's an organization, they will show up under My Organization, whether you individually filed them or not.
However, I think that this question is referring to the fact that the counsel is not the filer. Okay, I mean, the questioner is correct. You will not have, unless your organization is the initiator, then you would not be there. So, for instance, if you had a petitioner that was represented by two different firms, but one firm was the initiator of the case, My Existing Cases would show for that initiator. If the other individual of the firm was brought on, then you would not show on your existing cases. However, since you're the official representative, you're both official representatives, you will receive all of the email notifications on that case, and you don't have to subscribe to the case. Official representatives will receive email notifications of all the new filings in the case.
And then you just go in through search by case number, and you'll get to the case the same way.
As an attorney, you would want to subscribe to a case if the official representative, but you still wanted to follow the case. So I have a question here. Does subscribing to a case in the system serve the same purpose as emailing to ask to be on the interested person's list, or is there a difference? So the subscribing is replacing the interested person's list, so that this feature will effectively get rid of the need to have the interested person's list. Okay. Okay, we have another question in the queue that we were researching, and we will get back to folks on that.
All right, so we're going to add some discovery, which will also bring us to going over the new since using Epsp.
So there's an option here, add brief comments or discovery.
In this instance, we're going to add some discovery. Yep, there we go. And at this point, too, I just want to make sure everyone, in our procedures, ePSC procedures, we have page 5, section 5, is the procedures on discovery, where, again, you only need to file with the board the discovery request, and then responses, you just need to file with us a certificate of service evidencing service of the responses. So those will be the only things that you'll be filing with us.
And I will point folks to our homepage. This is the Public Service Board homepage,
The website.
of the list. And over here, there's a section on the ePSB, the new online document management system that we're walking folks through. And there's the procedures for electronic filing using ePSB, and that was what Holly was just reading from. And we encourage everyone, we said this at the other trainings, to please take a look at these and go through. There are some new procedures, such as discovery, that will be really important for folks to see. So we'll go back to the Add Documents, Brief Comments, or Discovery page, and I am in the correct case. Hey,
We are.
yeah. Okay.
All right. And again, it's the new filing. And you continue down where you can select the discovery type. There is a predetermined list here for you, so you can say whether it's your questions or a response. And in this instance, we're going to file our questions. In this, you can name it, if you want to be clear that it's discovery to one of the other parties, however, so it's all clear. Here, I call it to the department. You attach it, and again, everything we're filing through the portal now is public. We're not accepting the confidential through there. And again, our petitioners, we will choose that and proceed.
We'll go back to view the case. In the All Other Documents tab. Okay, so
Well, let's try that again.
oh, it looks like it's actually trying to download something. Ah, there we go.
There.
It just took a little while. We're a little impatient.
Yeah, we're going faster than it. Right. And then we wanted to show if you were doing responses, and again, all for responses now you need to file is just a discovery certificate showing what discovery was answered and by whom. That would be response. And in this one, if you can clearly, again, name it according to what you were answering. All right, and you can see a nice list of anything that has been filed in the case. Clearly show you, and you'll be able to open, if you're logged in, you can open any of the documents down the right.
So it's still thinking. Let's see if it's done thinking. And it is. So now we have the response. Okay.
This is the list. You can see we're trying to cover many of the things that you can file through here.
And we're going to move on to all other motions and responses to all motions. And we're going to choose to file a motion for declaratory ruling. And for a declaratory ruling, it requires that it be accompanied by a proposed order of notice and a brief. So each type of motion might have a different direction here to point you in the right way to file what is needed. And I'm filing on behalf of the petitioner. Here. This is the one that was under today, 112. Now for filing a response to a motion, when you select from the document type here, response to motion, it brings up a list of the pending motions that are in this case. So you'll see from the list, and then you will check off here or here, depending on which one. You can check more than one as well. And then we'll just pretend that we are the Vermont Department of Public Service responding to that motion so that we're not ourselves responding to a motion. I forgot to upload a document, so it's going to remind me, but you'll notice it did not lose my other information. The system is smart enough to do that for you. And there we go. So if we went back to view cases, we'd see that as well. I think now we're going to move on to, we've covered all of these in this training above all other documents. You'll see that add transcript only, that's for court reporters, and add petition second step, that's only if you are the one initiating the case and you haven't yet put all of your information in for that initial filing. You have that option. And we did add witness to the case and prescribe to the case. So the last thing here in this menu of actions is add all other documents. And I'm in the wrong case again.
You like that?
Okay, now I'm in the right case. And you'll notice that there are 153 different choices here, because this is intended to encompass if you were wanting to replace, say, the list of adjoining landowners because you got it wrong in your petitioner's initial filing. So here you would indicate that that is what this is. So this is the development site. In the actual site, there will be a place to have a document title here, and that's important because you would want to say replacement for adjoining landowners' names and addresses, or replacement of the list of adjoining landowners. So we have some more questions. We will take a look.
And all right, one of them. I know, making share. Okay.
Hey, we're going to share the wealth of the questions.
Someone wanted us to explain the My Unsubmitted Draft tab under My Account right here. What would be underneath that would be that if you start a filing for a case and then you use the Save for Later option, which remember does not hold your documents that you've attached, it only holds the information, that's where you will go back to find it in the My Unsubmitted Draft. So it's kind of your work in progress place.
Question. Cutoff time to file each day's filing. For example, another state in which I file has a cutoff time of 4:59, and anything filed at 5 o'clock or later is counted as being filed at 12 a.m. on the following day. So you'll see if you look in the procedures that we just popped up and showed you folks earlier, it explains that anything filed after 4:30 p.m. is considered filed on the next business day. So we use 4:30, which is the state time for close of business, which is 4:30 for the state of Vermont.
All right. The next one, is there an automatic service by the PSC, or do we need to continue to serve parties ourselves? Well, what this system will do is that will provide notice of the initial filing to the state agencies who are required to be served as long as you have chosen yes to that option in your initial filing. But the filer must still serve everyone else in hard copy, adjoining landowners, anyone else that is supposed to get that initial filing. For filing in existing cases, if, let me try to go into a case so I can show you that you will see the party's official representative, as long as they've given us an email, will then be, Andrew can and talk at the same time. I apparently can only do one at a time. Here we go. You will see if there is an email listed. Oh, that's done 67.
What's that?
This case is, back again. All right, so basically, if there's an email listed next to people in your matter, that means they will be getting anything that is electronically filed in the case automatically. If there's not an email listed, then you need to serve on that person in paper. like here. You will see that Andrea and I have our emails in, so that means we will automatically get served anything electronically. Right now, the department's in the same, A&R, but if there was a party in here that had nothing listed where these were, then you have to file them in paper to that person. Oh, and again, all confidential information continues to be filed in hard copy and served on the authorized parties by the filer. There's no electronic filing of confidential.
We have a question to clarify. If one entity, i.e. a law firm, initiates a proceeding on behalf of another organization, the case will show up on the law firm's My Organization cases, but not the organization it's filing for, correct? And yes, that is correct. It's the organization account that is initiating it. Is there a size limit for an individual document and/or exhibit to a single filing? For example, individual documents in a filing could be 2 megabytes each, but with exhibits, the total filing could not exceed 8 megabytes. And that was, okay. The size limit for an individual document is 50 megabytes. The size limit for documents filed on one screen is 200 megabytes. So if you had more than 200 megabytes of pre-filed testimony and exhibits, then you would just need to add the second step. Okay.
Oh, I think we're down.
Let's move on to, I think we're going to go back to motions to show you a different screen in motions. Now I'm in the correct case. And if we go to add all other motions and responses to motions, and if we select motion other, so it's not one of the pre-canned here.
To choose other supporting documents. All right, well, this screen it looks a little different here. What our example is today, as we are in development, the screen in what you will see when you're actually filing will look a little different because based on last Friday, when people were asking about us being able to file other supporting documents, when they do it like a motion to intervene or other motion, we, in response to that, we have added that panel, and it will be on the ones that you will see as you actually file. And there'll be choices. You can choose affidavit, brief, certificate of service, other documents to be filed with the board, or parties proposed orders. So we have some pre-existing choices there, and if it's other documents to be filed with the board, I believe we'll put in a description of what that is. So we did, in response to the request for that, make sure that that will be added to the motions, so you'll be able to add other supporting documents as you need to.
Okay, for confidential filing, the question is, would I be able to e-file the public document and file a paper confidential document? Can the confidential document be emailed to the clerk? And the answer to that is no confidential information should be submitted into the e-filing system. It should be sent or emailed to the clerk. It should be sent in paper to the clerk. Okay, next question. If mailed or overnighted, can it be postmarked on the filing due date, or does it need to be in the clerk's office on the due date? So paper copies must be filed with the board and sent to other authorized parties within 1 business day of the date on which the document was considered using ePSC. And the date filing via ePSP of the public version of the document will be the controlling date for determining whether a filing deadline has been met. So in other words, the public version of the filing will be made via ePSP on Monday, and then the paper copies must be filed with the board and the other parties by Tuesday, within 1 business day. Okay? If that answers those questions. In the development side, we have fake cases in here, but when we're going to be having a in-person training next Wednesday, and we could spend some time looking at some actual cases. These 2 sessions this week were focused on actually filing, and so for the purposes of that filing, it was important that we use the development site so that we could actually put in a bunch of documents and have people and such that were added, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do that using the regular system. So for next week's purposes, we'll use the real system, and folks should come prepared with questions, and hopefully we will have some answers and guidance for you. We have another question.
Kind of a little bit of a two-parter, sort of. They wanted us to clarify again what we need to file to the board in lieu of discovery responses. And again, that is a discovery certificate that just basically states, along the same lines of those of you that do file with civil courts or things, that's how the same information that you would file with them, is that on this date, whatever, you can't even talk about things. You say your party has served on the other party's answers to their discovery, and then you have a list of all the people that you served that to, because that will be served in paper on the other party. So that's all that needs to say.
And so I pulled up here on your screen, this is page 5 of the procedures order, and it lays out in more detail what is expected.
Like your certificate of service basically needs to say who served what on who, basically. And then it continues to ask if just a regular certificate of service. Has the board addressed the larger question about when we need to file a certificate of service? Do all filings require a certificate of service? And the answer is that a certificate of service is required if the filer has served other parties in paper or outside of ePSP. So if everybody in your matter has an email and is served by ePSP once your filing is made, no, you do not need to send us a certificate of service. But if there are parties who are outside the system, yes, you would need to. Yeah. Or anytime you send anything to adjoining landowners as well, those are not in the system, so you would have to send us a certificate of service showing that you did, in fact, serve all those parties.
Okay, so we've covered the pending questions now, and I believe we've gone through what we wanted to show folks today. We'll wait a few minutes and see if any other questions come through. So we actually just figured out that we wanted to show you another piece of information under Add Document All Others.
Kind of continues from some of you who were there last Friday who were asking questions about the difference of cover letters and letters.
So there's an option to add a cover letter here, and the intent of that is that if the information that you're putting into a cover letter is substantive. For example, if you have an exhibit that you are replacing and you want to identify in the cover letter the changes to it, for instance, you would want to say, this site plan now reflects the understanding of the MOU with A&R. So it's been updated, and you want to make sure that you explain that. Then you would attach a cover letter and upload that here. So you would first use the exhibit page to file the new exhibit, and then you would use the Add Document All Others page to file that cover letter that was to accompany the exhibit.
Right. It's not for a generic cover letter to just say, enclosed, please find, our new petition. That's not what that was meant for. It's more substantive, as Andrea has just explained.
Yeah. So, because there was a question last week about whether or not cover letters are still needed if it's just saying, here's what we're filing, and the answer to that is no. Unless there's some substantive information, we do not expect folks to file cover letters. So there's also an option here that is other documents filed with the board. And so, for instance, if you had a letter, which was the only document that you were filing, and that letter was relaying some information to the board and was not asking for any board action must be requested as a motion. You would file that letter that was just informing the board as other document filed with the board, which I have showed you up here on the screen. So anything that requires board action, change of schedule, anything like that has to be filed as a motion. Okay, and just for example, if there's a new notice of appearance that's being filed, there would be an option in all others here. Notice of appearance. So it's important to familiarize yourself with these different types of documents that can be attached and use other document files with the board when there's nothing here. And we're working on putting together a list of that folks could have in front of them so that when they're getting used to selecting what to input into the system, you would actually have a list in front of you rather than having to select through all of these and look through them. So we're planning to have that ready soon. And we have another question, so I'm going to put you on mute for a second. So the question is related to the fact that at the training last Friday, we said that notices of appearance were not needed anymore. That's true for the initial case filing. However, if there is a substitution of counsel, then a new notice of appearance must be provided, and a notice of withdrawal must also be filed with the board for the person that is being substituted.
Also, notices of appearance are not required if you're filing a motion to intervene as well. That's the other instance where you would not have to file a notice of appearance. So those are the two instances. Otherwise, you would.
And also, state agencies, you'll notice that for the department and A&R, they will need to file notices of appearance because the notice of the initial filing is sent to a general account for those agencies. So I will show folks that we look under people, we will see that for the Vermont Department of Public Service, right now it's Director of Public Advocacy and the generic email here. And so once an attorney is assigned, then that person would also have to file a notice of appearance. And the same for A&R. We have a question stating that wondering about the option to file confidential documents in ePSB. The option is there to file the documents, the confidential documents in ePSB, but we are asking that folks not use that option just yet and instead file in paper. And the non-development site actually has some verbiage in there that reminds folks of that, and so there'll be some guidance to do that. So you'll still be given the option, but there'll be a reminder that the electronic filing of confidential documents is not being expected at this time.
That's covered in our procedures as well. There's the beginning of confidential documents section. It explains it out that it's not available for use at this time. So if you read over that, keep sending you to these procedures.
However, it is true that you do see the option there. So we'll have some language just to remind folks on that. Okay, we'll see if any more questions come in the next few minutes. Okay, thank you, folks. We are going to end the presentation now, and we want to remind about the training next week.
Next Wednesday, that we will conduct an in-person question and answer session here in our hearing room on the 3rd floor. Oh, are we getting another question? And that is at 9:30 next Wednesday, the 18th. So just to put that out there.
Now, we have one more reading through. We have a question about whether if you don't attach one of the required documents, whether you will be permitted to submit the document and be notified, or submit the filing and be notified. And if it's a required document, you will not be able to submit the filing at all. So the system will notify you before any next step is taken. Okay. No other questions coming up? Oh, we have one more question.
We may want to just have a policy.
Okay, the last thing wasn't a question, so we'll just move on and have hopefully folks enjoy the rest of their day, and we will look forward to seeing you next week.
Wednesday. Yeah.